wood spread was on. See, there.
Regular teams for Euphoria anyway.
That's interesting. Everyone just turn your mics on and you're unmuted.
So you want the mics on?
On.
Okay.
All the time?
Yeah, just in case, so people don't forget to that.
Okay.
So, just to welcome everyone first, and Richard Sternberg is a trustee on the board. Do you know everyone around the table, Richard?
No, I don't.
Okay. You do know Kyoko?
I know.
Oh,
I don't know.
Kyoko, she's famous.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Bob McGuire Jones, representing Middlefield.
Okay. You're in the middle of the road.
I am.
Okay.
Me.
Rich Meyer from Town of Springfield.
Doug Williams was the representative from Middlefield. I'm just hanging around.
Okay.
He's an
Jim,
integral team member.
Cooperstown.
Jim, you staying on the committee or not?
For another 2 months.
And then
I
Jeff
spoke to the
Jackson.
mayor yesterday, so whatever it's worth.
All right, so let's start the meeting. I think Richard is here to see how we do and maybe have some comments. So I wanted to let you know, the reason that you have these mics, that we are now being recorded on YouTube, like the other committees of the other village committees. So we will be recorded, it will be saved on the village YouTube channel, and people can go and listen to it, or it'll be put in the archives, if you will. So let's start the meeting. First with the minutes from the last meeting, which you have had. There was one change to it, which Carrie recommended, which was adding to our mission statement. And he has written out what he'd like here, which is a little different than what the minutes have. He has asked that it says in the missions, conduct inspections throughout the watershed in full compliance with the provisions of New York State Public Health Law 1100 and the regulations thereunder. I will move it. Do I have a second?
One second.
All in favor? All in favor? Members, please vote. Okay. Anyone opposed?
Can I just say, I think that, I didn't talk to him specifically about this, but we've had a number of conversations about these things in general. And I think that this is concerned about whether septic systems that are along the tributaries within, was it 100 feet or, whether they're being inspected. Because it looks like maybe they haven't been. And it was my understanding that that's the point of making this kind of statement, which there's a lot of property like that. Henry Miller traced out the properties in the town of Springfield. We had this conversation probably 4 or 5 months ago, and he told me how many there are. It is a huge number. It's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
So now we have the biological field station monitors the tributaries through this area, and so we have some idea of how much sediment there may be getting in there, and it doesn't appear that there's a huge amount, at least in Cripple Creek and Haven Creek. I don't know as much about Shadowbrook, but I still think it's an idea that this board is pursuing as long as we have the manpower and the people power.
Do you think it's realistic for us to cover that, the land adjacent to the
Well,
tributaries for inspections?
when was it 25 years, 30 years ago, when they started inspecting septic systems around the lake, they found a very large number of them that were not in compliance close. They were just dumping raw sewage right into the lake. So we haven't looked, we don't know.
We don't know. I think the statement he wants to put into our mission statement seems okay. We've got to move in a second. Is there anyone against it? All right, then I'm going to say that we're approving it to be put in, and then I think when Carrie comes back, we can get clarification. I think he's read the Public Health Law 1100 and has very specific questions about components of that law that he wants to make sure that we assess and make a meeting, and I think there's nothing wrong with
I
doing
think
that.
the one thing that I think is worth considering in this is that the state now has support for anyone who wants to upgrade their septic systems. So if we were going to discover a bunch of septic systems that needed that, this would be a good time to be looking at that and turn right around and say, you're not in compliance, but we know how we can help you. And
Right.
it's not going to look like we're, the cops coming and just give them a bad time.
Right.
So,
Yep, I agree.
Related to that, what is the status, since we're talking about septic systems, what is the status of the inspector?
So let me get to that.
Okay.
Just a second. But you know what, let's just talk about that right now. Carrie and I met with Alan Tillapon, two trustees of the village, around issues affecting the watershed and around this law. At that meeting, we learned that the board had approved a full-time position, a full-time watershed coordinator position, but before this meeting. I was notified, I guess, 5 days ago that someone had been hired, and Dr. Jacob P. Gillette was hired. I will send out the CV. I don't know if I have one for everyone. You can pass that over down there. And his role is, at this point, watershed coordinator that includes the inspections. I've been advised that if he determines he needs an inspector to help with that job, that he will bring that to the trustees and they will consider that. The job description, I did not know that a full-time coordinator position had been approved. You'll remember that I brought this CV to the committee several times in the last several months as someone that Jeff Weppel from the Middlefield Board had said lived in his town and was seemingly someone who might be helpful, and I put him on the WAC as a public advisor. The job description that the village has used is from the law, and it is A through G, all relating to septic inspections except for one line which says managing watershed issues that threaten the lake as a drinking water supply. Under G, I think that the job description we put together fits under there. And I think what we want to consider is recommending to the board, the trustees, that this position have those responsibilities under that item in the village law, the duties and responsibilities we as a committee put together and sent to the trustees. Thoughts on that?
I agree with that. I think we worked hard on that. Now, I did the original one and Morgan edited it down so it wasn't as verbose. But it was, I think it's a really good, and there's a lot of input from this table, so it definitely does, that description does the things that we want. And there's nothing wrong with that. We have suggested.
Okay, everyone agree? Yes. Okay, so I will put that officially, it'll be in the minutes, but go ahead, Jeff.
Is there a requirement for that person to be at this table for all of these meetings?
Yes. Yes.
That what you were told that by the village?
And he will join us, he starts September 15th and he will join us on the 17th. None of us have met him, I've met him, but not sat down and interviewed him or anything. Kyoko knows him, Florian knows him, and Cindy Falk, who's a deputy mayor, spoke to Kyoko and Florian at my request to get their input on this particular human.
I also know.
You also know? Okay, good.
I would like to add that I passed along the name to her team of the water protector for Lake George, an environmental engineer who's been there, employed there since 2002, to ask me for suggestions of reputable inspectors if we needed to hire someone on a interim or part-time basis. And Bertine is going to be in touch with that individual.
We're together, we'll talk
Yes.
together. Yeah.
So, excuse me, this would be the assistant that you referred to?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I met him too, he's a good guy, great resume, but I don't see him flipping up, septic covers. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm wrong.
I think it should, this coordinator role needs to do, as Doug pointed out, what wasn't done in the 1998-90 plan. Nobody was watching what happened. Maybe we wouldn't be in the situation we're in if they were. The WQCC disbanded, people no longer even refer to the plan. We need the person who's gonna, this is a lifetime job. This is not a job that lasts for a minute. So I think it's very important that we make this point to the trustees and ask them to please consider these items under that item under the village law. Even if they don't put it in the law, that it be considered in its job duties. So I will send that forward.
And Bertina, just a suggestion that, as you pointed out, what's in the law right now is really what the WSC was chartered with, which was taking care of the septics. So other than that paragraph G that said, well, we can use that as we got to reverse that, what that septic piece is an important piece, but it's really only a small piece. Management of the watershed and the coordination of all the other organizations that are independent, including others, municipalities. That's what the manager, the coordinator needs to oversee.
Yes, 100%.
So,
Plus all of this, right? All this.
yeah, exactly. So, I guess I'd suggest that what's been done there is, as you said earlier, is kind of repeating the same mistake that was made back in 2000, which is just having WSC and septics, and then hope everybody else is just gonna do what they're supposed to do.
Which they won't, right. So I think there is an understanding that there needs to be a coordinator who does manage all of this. I think, I'm not sure, I mean, Richard, you can enlighten us here. I'm not sure if the trustees understand the scope of this thing. Do you think they do?
Oh, now you're asking me, I'm being recorded. I was not asked to attend that meeting that,
No, we can't, because there can only be a certain number of people,
No.
or else it's a public.
but I wasn't aware that meeting was occurring. I wasn't informed of the meeting. A lot of this stuff is happening without me. So things passed because they sounded good at the time.
Okay,
But can I make a public comment?
sure, please.
From my perspective and my background, my feeling, and this may be pushing it, is the Watershed Supervisory Committee should be an independent agency that has taxing authority and other construction authority for it to be effective. Now, again, the fear is who's on it and what are they gonna do? But, if everything has to go through the village, my experience with the village, every time I've suggested a fee or a charge or whatever, it gets knocked down. This can't be done in terms of, there have to be penalties for people who do not follow the instructions. And they have to be real penalties.
Yep.
And the only way I see it is this being an independent agency. Sorry.
No,
I don't, and I'm sure the rest of the member of the board will agree with that.
that's okay, this is still America, it turns out, you can say what you think.
Oh, in Cooperstown it is.
Exactly.
On 13, may I go back to what Doug said, that we're looking for is it correct that we're looking for the coordinator to be proactive versus reactive?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
I will tell you, the village assumed that the coordinator would be doing inspections. That was the impression I got. So,
Run that by me again, please.
what?
Say that again.
It was my impression that the person who was hired to be full-time would also be doing the inspections and would be replacing Hellcat. That was my impression.
Okay,
I never heard
I guess we
anything,
don't clarify.
I never heard anything about them only supervising and having somebody else working under them.
Because what Al did for decades was really hard, physical, dirty work. If he opened up the septic systems, he'd report on the sludge level. I mean, it was nasty work. And he did a great job.
Yes.
So, yeah, we like that. I like that. If God bless him, if the guy wants to do it. It doesn't sound to me like a, well, I don't want to prejudge it. We need to know.
No, and even if it is thought in that way, that will not help with the 90 process. If this person needs to be all over 90 and the coordination of that and not distracted by inspections, although maybe overseeing them is fine. Okay, so onward, we'll continue to work on that. So,
Can I raise a question?
yes,
That's Florian.
I just want to get back to the original comment I made a few meetings back. This is all fine and well, but I don't hear resolution of the issue of adequate hours of pay for the inspector to keep up with the workload. I'm not sure that we know how many hours a week are needed to keep up with the watershed.
to keep up with the watershed or inspections, Florian, or both?
To keep up with the inspections within the watershed in a
Okay.
timely manner.
Okay,
And that may increase because of, if we inspect properties along the tributaries.
right, exactly. If we find out that the law requires us to do so, right, exactly.
Well, this is a full-time job. Where's Jacob going to report? Is he in an office or a home base?
So originally, if you recall, the job description had him sitting at BFS for the coordination point. I don't know. I will find out. I don't know that data. I have asked that in the future, if there is going to be a person who's hired to help us do the work we're supposed to do, that we be included in the interview process and knowing.
Florian, is the offer still open for the inspector to, the watershed coordinator to have an office or a cubicle at BFS?
I believe so, but I have to say I'm a little surprised because the communication about all this seems to have fallen away in the last 2 or 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
I was not aware that it shifted to full-time. Neither Kyoko nor I were aware that a job was opening. Had we known, we would have shared the advertisement with our communities. So I hope to hear more communication about this in the future, if we are to work with this person.
Agreed, noted, and if we had known, we would have shared that with you, Lauren, for sure. So we're going to learn from this, and communication will definitely need to improve, for sure.
Routine, just, Canandaigua, which I brought up as an example that is worth us understanding better, and we plan to go out there. But basically, they have 2 positions. One, an inspector, Al Keck's position, that is employed by, and I'll use a water board.
Okay.
So the water plant employs, inspects the septics and so on. And then they have a manager, coordinator of the watershed that is employed by the consortium of the municipalities. And he reports to a board which consists of representatives from each of the 17 municipalities. 2 distinct, separate positions work closely together, but the septics is a subset, as we discussed, rather minor in terms of percentage, potential, contributing to water quality issues versus road salts and sediments and agriculture and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So are they both full-time?
I believe so. Yeah, the coordinator absolutely full-time, and I think the inspector also.
And how many municipalities did you say?
17
That's
municipalities.
17.
What the water board
It's
is,
a bigger lake.
water board is, I can't really, we should use the term board. It's a board that consists of, I think there's 4 municipalities that actually use the water source as a municipal water source. They are the ones that employ the septic inspector. All of the municipalities participate in employing the watershed managers.
Okay,
And as we get into the 9E plan, some of these models we'll have to bring forward to the municipalities to discuss. All right, let's maybe go back to the agenda. What do you think? That's an idea. So I sent out today Wendy's memorandum, which is the project status of the things that are being worked on. You probably didn't see it before you got to the meeting. No worries. Yep, that's it. No worries, but you read it when you can. It's something that I asked her to do every month to say, where are we and what are we doing with individual issues. So just take a look at that. If you see something missing, please let me know. We will be working on a WAC meeting in October and the leadership group sometime end of November so that we can get that group back together.
may I ask, whether the survey went out to everyone on the, who attended the meeting?
We don't have that yet. They're gonna send me an email address for everyone that was at the meeting, and then we'll send it to them. Florian's gonna send it to his HABs group. I've asked Amy to send it to everyone she sent it to. So we need to get this questionnaire moving. And so we have to talk about how we wanna make that happen.
And they have to be submitted by September 30th.
Well, I asked her about that, because I could not find that requirement in the state, in the grant. And she said, it's not a requirement, but they find that if, the sooner you do it from a public meeting, the more likely you have feedback. So she's putting a 30-day thing on it as an experience component, but we can extend that. So we'll have a conversation about that. Let's talk about those. Jim, you might want to just talk about your decision.
Okay.
Since you mentioned it, yeah.
I've been on the WSC since 2008, which is a long time. Needless to say, it was a fraction of what the group met 5 or 6 times a year, did not meet during the winter. It was really basically with wind and out going over a septic system, so totally different. But it does bother me, I think it's wrong, that I can't vote. I'm gone 6 months of the year, I cannot vote, I think I'm taking up space if I can't vote, so. I told the mayor this yesterday, I told you this particular before that.
Yeah.
What I suggested, what I'm willing to do if the group agrees, right now I think we're very lucky that we have Amy from OCCA and Florian from BFS as part of the group, non-voting. I'd like to continue with the group as a representative of the Cedar Lake Association. The association does a lot and is very involved. And yesterday, the mayor reminded me, Doug, and I haven't spoken to this, that this is your motion. I think 2 years ago, we allocated $10,000 for the 9E project, kind of ill-defined. So she reminded me of that, and I agreed, that we will, continue to meet our commitment and do 2 $5,000 payments this year, next year, which is no problem for us. So, we are involved, the OLA is involved. Kyoko certainly is a pivotal person there also. So I'd like to be involved in a non-official way.
Yeah. So I tried to talk to him out of this, the mayor tried to talk to him out of this. But we respect what he's gonna do. I said, absolutely, I'm sure everyone's breathing breath of fresh air that he's gonna stay as a team member. So please do, Jim, and we appreciate having you.
And last thing I'll say is I think, I mentioned this to you yesterday, I think, you certainly have an opportunity to nominate someone, but obviously I was appointed by, talk about ancient history, Jeff, Mayor Bone.
Oh, did Bowman appoint you?
Yeah, was that 2008 or 10? I can't remember. Maybe it was 10, but that was really ancient history, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never even met the guy.
Jim, could we ask that OLA make sure that it sends the survey link to its membership?
Yes, we will do that. Yeah, we got a 350.
That's great.
person, we're happy to do that.
More input, the better.
And I think that you staying on hold, staying connected with this is so important.
And it will not be me, I'd like to be an OLA chair, so, if I'm not here, another, somebody like Doug, another board member or Kyoko can represent, but yeah, thanks, I'd like to do it. But it's not personal to me, it would be OLA, so, which I'm happy to do.
Well, I'm happy that you're gonna stay as a team member, Jim, you're invaluable to us. So that's the status of the membership, and it's worked well. Pat is a team member, Doug is a team member, I think it's working out well. Jeff has come as a team member. So I think this is a good approach. All right, discussion of what needs WSC approval before proceeding. I thought Kerry was going to be at this meeting, but he's not. I just want to be sure that as we proceed with the 9E, that we understand that if we have to access outside entities for information, to understand something about the work that we're doing, I think we have to at least let the WSC know. This is not to micromanage anybody's team efforts with their committees, but just to make sure we know. We don't want to access the state for things that might inspire them to look a little closer than we want them to look at this moment in time, for instance. So I just want to be sure that we, just as a good approach, just be sure if we're going to really access something or someone, an entity, a legal entity, that we just be cautious about how we do that, if that makes sense.
Routine, I support that, and I was going to say that from another committee, the Historic Preservation or HPAR meeting, we had the village attorney come and speak to us about what our committee member responsibilities, do's and don'ts were. And Martin said that no subcommittee member was authorized to speak on behalf of an overall committee, that only the chair was, unless the chair specifically, and it would be preferable if in writing, indicated that the chair delegated specific responsibility to that person. So that was in another committee context, but it was coming from the village attorney to all of us. So I don't know if it applies, I assume it applies to all committees.
I think it does. Does this make sense to everyone? Okay, again, not micromanaging. I don't want to hold anybody up. I just want to make sure. If I was going to do it, I would want, maybe I'd call Jim or Doug or Bonnie and say, what do you think? Or, what do you think about this? Just because I want to be sure that I'm thinking straight about those things. Okay.
In the village, nobody can speak to the board except the mayor. But any board member can speak as an individual to anybody they please.
Okay. All right, that's helpful.
I don't know if the mayor agrees with that, but that's.
You said to any individual, but any entity as well, any state authority, the governor, commissioners of DEC, agriculture.
As long as it's clear they're talking as an individual.
And not as a member of WSC or a member of the board.
Or a committee, yes.
Okay,
That
got
will
it.
make that very clear.
Okay,
Okay.
got it. That's
That's a
helpful.
good clarity.
Yeah. I'm going to save this meeting with the village trustees for the end of the meeting. I wanted to update, Kyoko, any update about the Lake Boyd?
So I just got email from, I think it was July, yeah, so the hazard buoy for the Sunken Island that was supposed to be installed in August has not happened, which I understand. I mean, the season is almost over, but so it didn't happen this season. And then on October 25th, with 26 as a backup date, BFS scuba diving volunteer divers and tenders are going to swap the no-wake zone buoys around the lake with winter spa buoys. So if you could help, many of the OLI members or the WSC members have help in different capabilities, and even like providing food for the team would be a good morale booster. Lunch, or we typically get pizza for the people, and it'd be nice to have somebody who can deliver it to the boathouse instead of one of the tenders actually driving back and forth. So if you could help, that'd be wonderful. And then we would probably doing the winterization of the data buoy in late November to early December. We usually try to push it as back as possible to capture the disappearance of the thermocline or the layering of the different temperature layers.
Okay. Thank you very much.
October 25th or 26th, were those the two days?
25th is the main date, and then 26th would be the backup date. Let me double check.
While you're checking on that, Jim, and the rest of the committee, around, about the $10,000, I guess I asked that we say that it's specifically going to be used for the 9E as.
Yeah, I asked-
Wait,
I asked her,
in
right?
consultation with WSC.
Well, I asked her to write a paragraph describing the use of the money. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I'll be happy to share that paragraph.
Okay, great. I think we ought to have some.
Well, but I think she went through a laundry list of bills the village, it was a big list that the village is incurring with 9E process, so, and this is to help.
Okay.
So I can't remember, Doug, it was your motion. We said we were gonna help, so it's kind of ambiguous. You just said the 9E process, so. I think it's fungible, whether it's left pocket or right pocket. If it's, well, let's see what she said. I'll see what she says.
I guess my point here, Jim, is that I haven't spent a dime. I don't know where it's being spent. So if money's being spent on the 9E in the village,
Well, yeah, I mean, she talked about the Freshwater Institute, she talked about the anchor consultant. I mean, there's huge amounts of money being spent.
But
That's
all
already been
covered.
paid.
That's all covered.
Some of it's been paid out of the ARC grant, because we've already drawn 125,000 out of that.
The ARC grant, by the way, is completely spent, 125,000. So that's why, if we could just see it, Jim, because I think, I want to be sure, as far as I know, we've not spent any money that wasn't in the grant or in the state grant. And UFI was in the ARC grant, and the consulting is in the state grant, in the 750.
They're in both.
That's right, they're in both, right you are. So if we could just know about that, that would be helpful, just so we could understand. Thank you.
Okay, so the buoy fest, when we swap the Norway zone buoys, is 25th of October, which is Saturday, and then 26th would be the backup day if the weather is bad on Saturday.
Okay.
And we typically need some people help prep the winter spa buoys on shore the week before. So even if you were not available on Saturday, we could use some help typically on Wednesday through Friday on shore. And Paul Lord will be the central person who will be arranging the logistics.
Do we know whether anybody ran into Sunken Island because the buoys weren't there?
I do not know, but even when we are touring as the WSC survey group, there was a pontoon that was like on top of it. I don't know if they actually hit anything, but it was in the middle of the shallow area.
Yeah, I saw that, so.
Yeah, the answer is yes. I don't have the details, but Stephen Phillips has a house, new house there. He said he has seen people
Hit
hit or heard it.
That's not good.
See, I think that stuff like, reporting stuff like that is a good way to remind the DEC or whoever's putting those buoys up that they actually serve a useful purpose. And if they're not gonna do it, then we ought to see if we can get someone else who will.
Well,
Because that's really dangerous there.
it is, but we wrote the letter and I sent the snail mail letters to the commissioner, state senator, representative, assistant commissioners, hard copies. That was a month ago. I never got responses. But I did at our meeting a week ago today, it was almost, right? Did everybody here get a chance to meet the parks guy?
Yeah.
Okay, so I talked to him and he said very strange, that, oh, I'm aware of that letter. And he said that it will be addressed. Now, I don't know whether it's this year or 2030, but it did get around, and so I think we heard some
The parks
stories.
guys have got those little boats, they could just go out there.
Yeah, it's
For
not a
heaven's
huge
sakes.
shot, right, obviously.
Well, it seems like the people who are at Glimmer Glass are not the people who do the buoys.
That's correct.
So,
There's a maintenance crew.
yeah, so it's not like, you could have a buoy on a truck coming from Albany and then come from the Glimmer Glass. Somebody has to actually trail their boat from Albany and launch it at Lakefront probably,
Right.
and then, do that, and that's a lot of work.
Okay, right on that subject, there was a memo back July 18th, about sort of, VFS have gotten multiple inquiries from concerned residents regarding the following lake issues. They're all those, that's the buoy. So it was New York State Parks Navigational Hazard buoys, right? Is that the only issue that was brought up? This was your, just as a reminder, I just want to make sure we don't drop anything that needs to be monitored.
Yeah, that's all
That's all,
about
okay.
navigational hazard.
I want to
yeah.
be sure that we follow through and we have what we need in Kyoto.
And most likely a parks is just going to be because it's already winter spa buoys, and it's good to go for the winter.
That's right. What about the drone, Kyoto? Any update on that?
No, but I did let the researcher at ESF know that the HAB was starting to come up at the end of August or mid-August, and they said they were busy, with field work already scheduled for the field in the lakes, but they are monitoring the satellite images.
Okay. All right. So that, the Glimmer Glass park testing was what I just asked Kyoto about. And then meeting with the DOT, Florian did a great overview. That was a great meeting. I felt very comfortable that the DOT understood the issues around herbicides. Florian, what's your view?
Yeah, I mean, as far as what we can do, they're operating within what they can do, and we've done our part to let them know our concerns, and they seem to hear them.
Yeah. They were gonna coach their guys around how far the herbicides went up the property for folks, and I thought they were very open to it, and we're not using any of the scary stuff that we had read about. So I think we'll drop that one off our list of things to worry about, since we have so many things to worry about. Okay, the tributary meeting is coming up, right? You sent out an email, so that's coming up. I don't, Amy, anything on the grant that you sent in?
We are supposed to hear within the next week or two. We have actually a meeting tomorrow, so fingers crossed that we hear back then.
Okay, that's great. I just want to skip the map issue for 1 second. The public meeting. Let's just have just a small review of that. I wrote to you the things that I put in Wendy and Radaya, and I'm not going to get that right. I'll keep practicing. Sent out of things that went well and things that didn't go so well, and what they would do. So we've got a document that has sort of everything there for the next public meeting. But any comments here that we should, that I didn't get back from you guys about it?
I would say, I was thrilled with the turnout, that all of the constituencies that we hoped would be represented were there. I was honestly underwhelmed by the consultants' presentations. I felt that they were reactive instead of proactive. I thought they were not, they didn't use specificity in answering questions within the context of our lake. They sounded generic to me, like they could have been any lake in New York State. And I expected them to be more advocating for community involvement and also providing more information about the progress that they had made and what they had accomplished so far. So I honestly felt we missed an opportunity to really impress the constituents that we had a lot of oars in the creek and we were rowing forward. But I thought that was their contribution that I was critical of, not the advisory committee and the WSC's contribution.
I think that's good criticism, but I think you got the same impression I did, that this was a semi-canned deal that could have been given in a dozen lakes.
Right.
And not too original, not site-specific. But I would say, I think, Bertino, to be honest, you did a very good job at MC, and Florian's intro was good, and the questions that were fielded, Doug, Kyoko, some others that it was natural, it was spontaneous, it wasn't rehearsed. And, I think the questions were all answered. It's great that we had the Q&A. I asked Bertina to add that. Without that Q&A, the meeting would have been a failure.
Yes.
Because, people, Richard Mazzari asked a couple questions, that's great. You want that to happen.
Yes, I would agree on all those points.
And I don't think the board thing, I think the standing around the board thing is a little underwhelming too. I don't know what else. I guess it was okay.
Yeah, I think that's part of what the getting community input looks like in their world. That's fine. I mean, I've done those at strategic planning meetings just to get input. But I did share all this with them. All the comments you've made were great. And I said to them, in the future, we have to have answers that specifically reference our lake. It has to be, we gotta pick up the pace. Don't read out loud to people, all that sort of stuff. She said, we recommend you not ask questions. I said, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. That would have been a huge negative.
She said, but there were some questions that came up that were difficult. I said,
That's because she doesn't know the answers.
or maybe she's uncomfortable. I'm not. I mean,
But the people in the room knew the answers, Very
Yes.
simple.
And even if we don't know, we don't know. I mean, you have to have questions and answers, and I'm very comfortable with that, as we all are, so.
I thought all the local input that you mentioned, Jim, was excellent. And I thought her team did a masterful job orchestrating it, keeping it moving, keeping it light, managing the pesky questions. I think it was masterful.
Florian's intro filled in some of that non-generic lake information for everybody, talking about what we've already been done, the history with BFS, and, what we did know, and what, thanks to OLA, and thanks to Doug, and thanks to a lot of people in this room, what we've been able to do to get to where we were, which really is far ahead of any other lake in a process like that. And I think he did an excellent job.
He did, and that was actually Doug's idea, and I know Doug worked with Florian on Florian, great job, and Kyoko, when you jumped up and said, I can answer this question. That was great. And then I said, I was gonna say that, because of course I wasn't. But I think that was really helpful. Anybody, feel free to say, I can, like you did, I got something to say here, so that, I think if we all do that, that's great. The only thing I was worried about, we had 6 members of the trustees of Cooperstown and the mayor, which is wonderful. I don't know that we had many. I mean, the supervisor for the other 3 towns weren't there.
No, Jeff Whipple was there.
He's on the board of Middlefield, but we had few. Pat was there from us.
Identified as
Springfield, one from Springfield, but we didn't have a lot. So Doug and I talked about maybe sending those supervisors and those board members a note saying, we'd love to get together with you, and talk a little bit about this, so that we have your input. So
I already offered that too.
Yes,
Middlefield,
as
well.
Well, we have Pat as a town representative.
Board member,
Do you think it's because those, like some supervisors were at the first leadership meetings, and essentially a lot of what was presented at that meeting was merely a duplicate of what had been presented there, and anybody who saw the outline would know that they were getting exactly perhaps what they thought they already had.
Could be.
Just a thought.
Yeah, no, it could be, but I want to make sure they feel included, so we might think about doing that.
And for the second meeting and on, we would have more information and we would have the hooks before the next public meeting. For example, when the water quality data from UFI is, organized, we could say this tributary in your town was identified as a hotspot, or, those kind of things would pique the question, the interest of the
Well,
town.
great point, Phil, but maybe we should do more presenting than the consultants, because now we'll have the data, your team will have a lot of the data by then. Carrie's team will have stuff, everybody's team will have more input, so.
And anything that's going to have numbers on it, we've got to be very careful. People can't read anything on a small screen.
I know.
That's where actually those stand-up things, if done correctly, will work. Like when the students presented OLA, and people can go over and look at them, or when they were presenting at the biological field station, people could actually look at the data, take time to see it, and be close enough to get it. But you put it up on the screen, especially in a place like that, that isn't lit properly for it, nobody can read it. It's useless.
Right. And the other thing is, to your point, Jim, I think when we get that email address for everyone that was at the meeting, we'll send out a couple of things, thanks for coming, but here's what a 9E plan is, using, Bill's overview. Here are some ideas, please get the questionnaires done, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll send something out as a follow-up to that.
Survey.
A survey, okay, survey. All right.
And maybe also telling them the next steps we're taking,
Yeah,
so that they know there's a momentum.
yeah.
Did we actually realize that the last whole section of the survey does not apply if you are not a property owner, or a farmer, or a business owner?
Well, we put it together most of it, so I think we have to take responsibility. So it's okay. It's okay. They'll find out. They'll find out a lot from that, I think. It's all right.
Just leave them blank.
Okay, let's see. I just want to get some of these things. Kyoko, so I'm jumping around and I apologize. Sand testing, Kyoko, is that going to be something your committee looks at? Or
Not really, that's more of whether BFS is interested or not, because we have seen foam accumulation in places, and sometimes they have high levels of toxins or not, and perhaps some of that lingers in sand or, the shoreline sediment.
all right. Florian, thoughts on that?
With regard to foam?
Yeah, foam or like
No, the sand testing.
sand
testing.
beach sand that might have residual cyanotoxins with.
Because there's been some studies indicating that there is some there.
That it retains it longer too.
So it's basically washing the sand in some sort of solution and running the ELISA on it.
Yeah, I'd have to talk with Holly. If we're getting below threshold levels in the water, I guess we wouldn't expect it to be different in the sand unless you're saying it's cumulative, Kyoko.
It could be, so.
If the study we looked at,
That is,
Florian said that the sand tends to hold it longer. I don't
that's
know.
an interesting point, and I'll follow up with Holly about that.
Thank you so much.
I can send out the manuscript.
Bill will send you the manuscript on that.
The one and only that I know of.
Yeah. There's only
Do
one.
we have anything on whether the silt holds it, since we now know there's so much silt? When we went on our tour, Paul was making a big deal about how much of the lake has silt now all over where it never existed before. And, I'm thinking silt holds all kinds of germs and bacteria, especially when it's warmed up to different temperatures.
Yeah, a thick silt layer could be like an overwintering bed for the cyanobacteria, because it is fluffy and it's not going to be, cold as the surface water, which may freeze and all that. So from that standpoint, having thick silt layer is not ideal in terms of cyanobacterial management. I do not think toxins are actively produced in winter in the sediment just because it's much colder and the cells are not metabolizing at higher rate like in the summer. But overall silt reduction is important for the longer term management because, as you said, silt layers tend to harbor more bacteria, including cyanobacteria, and that suffocates plants, which are better than having lots of cyanobacteria.
Right. So maybe we should see if there's any literature out there about that.
There is somebody doing a presentation on the connection between quagga mussels and toxic bacteria
At Niscola?
at Niscola in October.
Who's going to Niscola?
I'm going to the September one, I may go to the October one too.
You're going to October? October. Anybody else going to Niscola in October? Okay, I kind of think that Jacob ought to go.
It's much farther to go to the October one.
Yeah, I think October ones
The
are
September
more
one's just a
major.
treble, so no big deal.
The September one is a lower key. The Niscola, this is the big one. I'll see if we can get maybe Jake to go.
Where are the meetings at?
The one in September is treble. The one in, October is, almost over to Rochester,
Okay, Finger Lakes.
Naples.
Naples.
Nice town.
Okay.
I wonder if this group would be interested in sending a representative to the Finger Lakes Institute meetings, which are held in early February over at the Finger Lakes Institute. I went with Holly last year. I know Kyoko had teaching commitments, but that might be one. When I hear about it, I'll share it with the group.
Okay,
Speaking of
fine.
meetings.
That'd be great. Yeah, because if there's something to learn here, I think we'll learn it. Let's see, a number of meetings a month. Carrie suggested that maybe we only need one meeting a month. That's 3 hours long versus 2 meetings that are an hour and a half or so long. I personally, my view, and I want to get your view on that, my view is that so much is happening. I think it's best that we touch base for an hour and a half a couple times a month and once for 3 hours. That's my view, but I want to hear from other members.
Well, I think when the watershed coordinator is able to do the routine kind of triage of septic system applications and all that, we could potentially jot down, but yes, I agree with Bertine that right now, once every other week is good frequency.
So this year we have no septic inspections for the summer.
Not yet. I don't know if Jacob is gonna be able to do some before, but we are already not doing our job for this year.
How many behind are we, you know?
It's
100.
Well,
We're supposed to do one, if we have 300, we're supposed to do 1/3 every 3 years. We're 100 behind.
but some are,
Well, one of the things this Jacob needs to do is, it will help, is actually go over the rules again. Because we changed it. This group did like a 5-year, if you put a new system in, it was 5 or more. There were certain, the more technological, the more advanced the system, the fewer the inspections. I know there was a table, and I know there was a 5-year category.
Why, Jim? The more technical, the more things are that can break down. There's no reason, seriously, the more complex something
I
gets.
didn't say complex, Richard, I said, I said more advanced. So I don't know, that was on the advice of an engineer, so I'm not arguing with you, maybe you're right. I'm saying that this issue ought to be, we don't know right now. I mean, to me, it's very unclear
It is unclear.
what Pat is saying, what the periodic fee. So if it's every 3 years for everything, that's fine.
I think we changed it to every 3 years.
Okay.
But anyway,
But does
some
does
number,
the public know that? Because there's,
we did send something out. Now, whether it was adequately disseminated, I don't know. We haven't even done the inspection thing yet, so.
I'm looking at the list just of the best ones, the ATUs. And I was gonna talk to you about the list, but you all have a copy of it when you want to peruse around in it. But we have, if we're talking 3 years, just looking at the top 25 of them, I'm looking at 2010, 2018, 2016, 2007, 2018. So there's quite a few just in the first 25 of them that are ATUs, which are the top of the line ones that we have in. That was their last inspection date. So many of them are more than 10 years.
you go to 2007 that hasn't been inspected? Okay.
The last inspection date was in 2007.
I think we'll find some of this, because remember, they were all, and Al had it in his head and in his files, was all there. But once we started putting this information in the data system, things pop up that you didn't think of. So that's gonna happen. And let's see what Jacob comes up
Some of
with.
the modern systems require servicing or
Yeah.
changing filters more often that need to be accounted for. And so it doesn't have to be inspected, I don't think, quite the same way, but
Make sure
we
the filters are
need to
changed.
know that they're keeping up with that, or at least what the indication is for the volume of water and effluent they're going to come up with.
Yeah.
Remember when the guy came in who had the brand new systems, the Japanese ones?
Yeah.
More of that kind of education for us about what's out there might be really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's give Jacob a minute here. All right, the map issue. So this map thing has been on our agenda for like 700 years. Our hope was that we would have a map that we could look at that would tell us, and this was Pat's, battle cry from the very first meeting she was here at. Do we have a map? And she's gone through it with me, more than once, because I have a feeble brain about these things. And although we have the data in the system, and although the village does have a license for a GIS system, there is not necessarily a human who can put that information in to the system.
Correct.
So
Working for the village.
working for the village. So if we did have that system, we could at any moment flash a map up of where everything is and what system it has, when it was last done, et cetera. We could get that sort of map, and we could slice it any way we wanted to, depending on how much data, what the data is that's in there. Is that right? Sort of.
Yes, but it doesn't have to be a map, because you guys all have it in your Google Drive for this group. It's called cleandata.xls. And you can go look in there and you can play with this data. You can make a copy of it and keep it on your own laptop or phone or whatever. So that's what I did. I just opened this up to look. And you can look by town. And if you want to see how many in a particular town have ATUs, you can look at that up. If you wanted to see how many in the town of Springfield have inspections that are older than 2022, if 3 years is the mark, you could see that. So you don't have to have a map to know that. You can also sort them by their tax parcel numbers, which would allow you to see, for example, which side of the lake they were on. Or, so if you wanted to do all the ones along one side of the lake or the top of the lake, you can do that. So although we don't have the GIS function, Excel can tell us a lot, and we do have all that data now. And I'm happy to show people how to do it if they've never played with Excel before. But we didn't set up the cameras to try to get it on the screen. And it only works if you guys can have a tool to go along with it. Or else I have a piece of paper that you could look at. So you like a fake piano keyboard?
Yeah.
Because without that, you'll walk out of here and it's like I never did anything, Because I taught communication research. People don't get it. As soon as they walk away.
I think also, Pat, it'd be great for you to talk with Jacob about this. I'll mention that to him.
Of what's there?
So that he understands what's there, because I don't know that everyone in that office understands like you do. So if you don't mind.
Excuse me, that's a really good point. So you're gonna talk to Jacob, right?
Well, I didn't know that I was.
Well,
I
I
couldn't
think that
believe
would be
somebody
great.
with his credentials could not figure out how to use an Excel spreadsheet. Especially since right on the front page, it
I
tells me
think
the data
that's
was
a good
measured.
start. I think
But I can't
your
do
team
that.
needs to, and
I can't do
there's a
that.
lot of orientation there.
Yeah. I asked to please meet with him, so. Did you get a copy of the resume?
I saw it
You did already.
way back when.
Sure. All right, so we'll make sure that that happens. Then there were some issues brought up about the village website, that we need to get things on there a little quicker, like the survey and other things, so that people can access it. A couple of people have said it's not on the website, and they were right. I've been talking with Marcia about this. They are at the pleasure of the webmaster that they have. No one here is allowed to put anything on the web. It has to be done by the webmaster. So if we want something done quickly, we're gonna have to make that clear and why, so that they can call that quicker.
Who's the webmaster?
I don't know his
Kyle,
name. It's-
Kyle,
Kyle, it's contracted out, yeah. And secondly, Carrie brought up that all of the towns should have the exact same thing that the village has, and Bill, I think I've said, they don't have that capability necessarily. But maybe you guys from other towns can find out what do they have on there, what do they want to put on there that we've got on this website, and see if we can help with that.
So I know they put the announcement of the 90 meeting, public meeting
Yes.
on the Middlefield website. So
Yeah,
they
we're
have
able to
somebody
do
that
that
can
too,
contact.
but with ours, every little thing costs us 10 or 15 bucks.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
So we don't actually have an individual, even us, who can do it for free.
Yeah,
Every time we change something,
cost money.
it costs every time.
Yeah.
So, yep, it's awful. We are very unhappy. I know, it does.
Exactly.
Does
Well, the
it?
same for the village. I mean, they pay this guy to
It's
put stuff on the website.
But maybe we can get the survey on
It is on there.
Yeah,
It is on that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As I said, that's gotta be on there. It's gotta be on there. All right, let's see if we can't get some of these quick ones done. Ditching, what is the committee ditching is gonna be? Is that you, Bill? Is that your committee?
I'm sorry.
Ditching issue for the 90, is that gonna be your committee? Who's managing ditching? Which committee? Ditching, the ditching issue for the 90
Well,
plan.
It certainly is an issue for the tributaries, because that's largely all that gets into the tributaries is to do with ditching.
For town of Otsego, Ted Fury emailed Paul Lord and I that they had the director of the local roads program at Cornell.
Yes,
And I think, that's the program that sent the summer intern to town of Otsego to inventory and evaluate the ditches in their town. So it seems like Ted had a really good meeting with Dave Orr, and many of the ditches were okay, but some of them were way too deep, according to the director. So it seems like at least for Otsego, there's some movement.
Well, I'm trying to figure out which committee, there's gonna be a whole section on ditching in the 90 plan. Which committee owns this? I hear none.
Well,
So I'm gonna sign it.
I don't know that it's a regulation. I know that we are in the process of including in our town laws and policies, we're upgrading our road standards to include some ditching requirements.
Yeah. Let me talk to the consultants and find out which group this should be with, because it has to be a consistent lake-wide process.
Yeah, that's the thing.
All of them, everything has to be like, it can't just be one town doing a good job.
Was there like a BNP committee or land use committee, because that is probably the
Let me look.
closest.
Let me look.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
The
right.
regulations, you went over that big list of municipal assessment forms. I looked at it quickly, but I think there were some questions about things like ditching and road work on that big list.
Could be, but still, we don't know which committee, so
Well, the regulatory committee is supposed to be moving that one along.
Okay,
So I don't know exactly where that goes, but
all right, let me,
It really is, I mean, it is the whole watershed.
yeah, it almost belongs in every
I mean,
pocket.
that data that, Matt Albright sent out a week or so ago about the different tributaries. Willowbrook turned out to have the highest, materials in it, and it's one of the shortest, smallest tributaries. It is, but it's way up, and the question is, what's getting in there, and how, and Matt thinks it's from, them spreading so much salt and stuff. There are more roads in that, right around that, and
Section
that's how it's
area.
getting in there. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's at the other end of the lake from where most of my attention is. So it needs to be in a group that's gonna look at that, and it'd be interesting to know what expectations. I mean, this fellow that was here from Cornell, town of Otsego, had a really interesting guy, and the questions, a lot of it has to do with how cooperative the people are who take care of the highways in the different municipalities and the state and the county. So I mean, it's a really complicated group of people to try and put together. But I think it's something obviously we need to touch on. It'd be interesting to know from, I'll have to look up if there's a ditching report in the different 90 plans we have available. I don't remember
I
seeing
think
that.
that is, and most of them, that is a huge issue, this road management in broad sense.
yeah.
Salts, sands, ditch management, culverts, all that. So-
If you think about Glimmer Glen as one of the big leads down to the lake, because Glimmer Glen is the town of Otsego. Right at the foot of it is Route 80. So anything that's coming down in the ditches or on the road, down Glimmer Glen, that's our problem. But then at the end, we can't construct anything to catch it. That's the state highway.
Yeah.
And, the mayor showed me that the village gets $1 million a year in what's called state touring route money from the state CHIPS fund. We don't get that, even though we have a state touring route, 80 and 28 goes through the town. The only way you get it is if you take over the maintenance of it. So if I were to say, okay, we're gonna take over part of 80 and our crews will do it. And now we'll get some more money and now we can take control of those areas that we know are problematic for the lake. I don't know that we have the staff or the ability to do it. And it isn't just fix those things right there.
Yeah.
It's plowing.
Yeah, so you have to hire people.
Everything.
Yeah, you'll spend the money that you get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the big conversation that we had today after the guy, Dave Moore, came yesterday.
Well,
Like, what could we do?
I'll find out from the consultants where this issue belongs, but let's, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that I think the Lake George Association individual that's going to speak with her team may be helpful to us in this, in that they have the whole Adirondack watershed. They have coming up this fall their 10th anniversary conference about road runoff. And they have been able, in my initial conversation with him, he said that they have been able to reduce the cost for the individual towns by about half by having best practices regarding runoff. And they also found the towns that where there was the most seepage into their water supplies, and they have constructed new leach fields to address it. So we may be able to stand on their shoulders, or at least get some information that can be transferable to our area.
Yeah, we'll bring all that back. Ashley, Seyfried, any update?
No, and I'm gonna have to say, I cannot do that. I'm into the budget season for the town, and it's going to be impossible. I cannot do anything until we pass the budget,
Okay,
because it is too much. I can't,
okay.
just can't.
What if we say don't come to the next meeting and use that time, no?
All that means is make a phone call routine, that has nothing to do with what follows.
Oh, no, I understand.
Yeah, it's not just contact her, it's then do the projects that flow from that.
Well, she's offered to do a lot of it. I'll call her. Did you
I-
call her?
No, I
didn't
didn't.
call her. Okay, I'll give
Because I
her.
know I couldn't do anything. They got worse in the last 3 days.
Yeah, I'll take that on.
So,
I got enough of that.
with the big thing that I found out about our budget, so can't do it.
Okay. Let's see, the Canandaigua pledge, I'm gonna put that as part of the 9.
Yeah, we're working on that. We gotta change the name to Otsego Lake. We gotta give credit, we gotta write a letter. So we are stealing your ideas, thanking them. So, it's on the agenda for the next, which we have scheduled. There'll be an October board meeting, and I think we'll adopt it. I had positive feedback, but, we just haven't had time to get to it.
Right, now, so I would say to the WSC, you've had this for a while. If you would see things that aren't on there, get to Jim. So that he can maybe add them if he sees it appropriate. But WSC should feed that document, for sure.
Did you talk to Matt Dombrowski from, Canandaigua Lake Association?
I've spoken to nobody.
Okay, because I think I have his contact info, and also, Dave Sullivan?
Well, the president is Jastrzemski. He's the one who's the president.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've got the document. My only thought was, we'd send them a letter thanking them for the ideas and saying we're adopting a version.
Yeah.
There's nothing else, and we'll edit the document to suit our needs.
And then maybe that lake pledge would be something that we roll out, for everyone, not just, Go ahead, Bill.
It just seemed clunky to me the way it came from Canandaigua. I'm not trying to criticize them at all. I think the idea to have people say, I want to be part of this, I've read this, and I know that these are the things I should be doing, I think that's huge value. I do think that the way they have it in, I think it's New Hampshire lakes, that the people get a little thing they can put on their mailbox or where they live, that they have sort of signed up to meet the expectations that people have about the management of their property around the lake. And I think that would be a good thing to have.
But didn't we have Kyoto, the DEC came from, there was Susquehanna?
Yeah,
Lake-friendly programs that had posters and.
That's that lake-friendly program that I sent you, Jim. I kept calling it Lake Smart, but it isn't right.
Are we talking about the Canandaigua pledge?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But the lake-friendly program is
Same thing.
Yeah,
I want to edit it
exactly.
down to one page. First of all, I want one page, bullet points, not a treatise,
The DEC program seems to have fizzled. So, in summer intern with DEC was really pushing it, and they sent us brochures and things for the last OLA gathering last summer. But since then, I did not see much going on, and the intern has left because he was a summer intern. And many programs are in the flux because of the budget cuts, and EPA money has dried out and all that kind of stuff. So I think we should just go ahead with the grassroots, locally driven program instead of resorting to DEC.
Okay, I'm gonna tell the consultants, because that's something we want to put in 90, that we did that.
I would say by the middle of October, I will report back.
Fabulous. And so again, read it and get back to Jim if there are any changes you think we need to make to it. Pat, would you be able to read that one pager?
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate your input.
I think I did read it.
Or if you have any input,
Yeah.
because you're good at that. Okay, let's see, I think, I'm gonna call for an executive session, but I just want to be sure that we've covered everything, although it was, I jumped around a bit.
While you're looking, BMP, your.
BMPs, yeah. Can't seem to get a
There's
list.
two, so I've been after the BMP list for, the three tributaries of Northern End for 3 years. And I have two pieces of information, like I think, Phil, you may have seen at least one of them. Ray Mertz from Otsego County Soil and Water District put together a list of what the Otsego County Soil and Water District did in terms of BMPs for the tributaries. So we have that. And then I got from the gas system.
So you're on that. You're on that.
I got from the gas system, the BMPs that they have for the upper Susquehanna, which is, it is in they're on the down to the three.
Here's my issue on this, so correct me, those of you who know far more than I. How can Bill Harmon say, Florian, maybe you can shed some light, how can Bill Harmon say, yes, we know the BMPs, we've got a whole thing of BMPs, I asked him for it, he doesn't have it. I asked Christos, he doesn't respond to me. I asked, what about Matt? Matt said, I don't know, DEC should have it. Why wouldn't the experts, like BFS, like Soil and Water, like us, have a list of the BMPs? What am I not getting here?
I think it started, well, it's fragmented. Soil and Water District can implement BMPs. The national NRCS, National, whatever it stands for, can do them. The BFS has them, and I have other that been involved. So a number of different entities can do that.
So Florian, Amy, why can't I get a list of BMPs if you guys have all seen them? If Bill Harmon says we have them, why don't we have them? Can someone help me?
I don't know that I share your bewilderment.
It's all right.
That's useful.
Okay, good.
But once again, and I know this is a public meeting, this really does pertain most directly to soil and water and NRCS. We have made attempts to communicate with NRCS about the progress of past efforts, and they're clearly low staff coverage for our region. We have a person who is on leave, we're waiting for them to come back from leave. When they do, who knows the size of their backlog? I share your frustration. I'd like this to be more clear, and I'm not sure what to do, short of hearing more from those entities.
Okay.
I will provide what I've been able to get from those, which is it's a list from those two different.
Yeah, great, but we should be, the only
Sorry, Routine, the only thing I have to add to that is that this is more of a guess than an absolute, is that a lot of the BMPs that are done on private property. And so, in addition to that office capacity of what's happened, it's not the same as doing projects on public property where there's going to be, lots of newspaper articles and things along those lines. The folks who have the most capacity right now, and this is just from kind of spending some time with them, and we have not done any BMPs, at least during my tenure at all, and we partnered with Soil and Water or the Upper Susquehanna Coalition. But the coalition, the Upper Susquehanna Coalition, is probably the folks with the most capacity right now. If you'd like me to, I can just see if they've got any active lists for what's happened in this area. And then we can, because there's always good, as with anything, right, it's always helpful to start somewhere and then add to it rather than bringing something up from scratch. So I can go after that if you'd like as well, while Doug is keeping, trying to figure out what he's got from his side.
That would be great. Nothing upsets me more than creating from scratch when we already created it. It makes me crazy. So I think that would be great, Amy, if you would do that. And then I'm going to call Christos, and I may contact his boss because I can't get him to respond to me, and I don't think that's right. But these are the kinds of issues we have.
Wait until I get you where I got from where I got.
Oh, okay.
We'll see what, she's already written something down.
All right, and then Bill, do you have an idea about giving people a title who work with us?
Well, this was regarding Jim's idea to have something similar to what they have over in Borrego. It was just, while I was thinking about the tributaries, I was thinking about tributaries, sort of put things into the lake. Well, we are putting things into the lake all the time so that you could become an honorary tributary if you said you were going to do what the Borrego pledge is, and that you get some kind of a little certificate for that. But I just thought that term might be catchy and might be fun, that you contribute to the lake, to the health of the lake. That's would be a good thing to get that as a, a little something.
Maybe a little prize next year.
Right, people want to get involved.
At OLA.
Yeah, but I think OLA is a good route to do that, because you've got a huge number of people that are interested.
Lake protectors, right, yeah. That's a great idea. All right, anything that didn't get said?
I got one.
Yeah, please.
I read over the consultant's progress report just
Oh,
before I
great.
came.
Good.
And it says the watershed characterization section of the plan is currently being drafted. And then below, it listed all of our subcommittees, and many of them are waiting for that characterization plan in order to move forward. So could you push them to send the draft so that we could review it for any omissions or emphasis, or to make sure, so that our committees can start moving forward?
Tell me the exact name of it.
We should call it the watershed characterization
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
section
the
of the
first
plan.
element of the 9E, characterizing your watershed.
Yeah, very good, will do. Thanks for
You know,
that.
and that's the big holdup for all the committees, is that no direction was given. And, I know Carrie's very determined to try to get something for the regulatory commission.
Yeah,
And without any, well, what are we supposed to do? The fact that they came to us without that in hand is just,
without the characterization plan?
no, without telling the committees what their jobs were going to be. That's just nuts. We could, that's why it takes 3 years. They didn't tell us what we're supposed to do. We already have it done. This is the community that does that.
Well, to be,
I just want to point out, it's not number 1, it's letter A.
Oh, sorry.
Don't
B, C,
get into
D,
any-
E.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think?
I don't know.
Back to Bill.
I want to just be fair here and remember that
I established these committees. This is not something the consultants asked for. I said, we will have committees who look at this stuff and bring it forward. They don't typically do this. So I just want to be fair that I'm the one who insisted on these subgroups.
So we could draw our own.
Correct.
Yeah, I think
Pat?
that's what we need to do.
Yeah, they don't typically do this, so I gotta say, to be fair, I didn't ask for that, they're not used to this, but I will ask them
Well, then, we need to know that.
well, they need to do it the way we wanna do it, that's what they need to do. And I will be able to get that done. I will do it. All right, if nothing else, then executive session, please, let's turn these off and stop on YouTube.
Bye.
Thank you, Richard, any comments, Richard? Richard, any comments? Did this help you?
I don't really plan it.
I know exactly what you mean.
Are these off?
I need, these are all.
You have